Many men believe that being unstoppable is a matter of luck, of genetics, or of living a perfect life free from obstacles. They look at others who seem to succeed with ease and assume they are built from a different material, stronger, braver, somehow more capable. But over my decades of studying success, I can tell you with absolute certainty that this is a myth. The truth is something else entirely, something far more powerful, because it is something you can control. What makes a man truly unstoppable is not what he has, but how he thinks. It is not the nature of the challenge he faces, but the nature of his decision in the face of that challenge. I have seen ordinary men become extraordinary time and time again when they commit to developing a mind of steel. This is a mind trained to resist doubt, to act with discipline, and to rise every single time it falls. This isn't about being fearless. It's about refusing to let fear take the wheel. You do not need a perfect life to become a powerful man. You need to build your character, and that construction begins and ends with the thoughts you allow to dominate your mind. So, let me ask you this. Are you ready to stop being a product of your circumstances and start being the architect of your destiny? To be unstoppable does not mean you will never fall, never doubt, or never feel fear. Being unstoppable means possessing a mind so firm, so disciplined, so thoroughly trained, that even when everything on the outside is shaking, you continue to move forward on the inside. True strength is not measured in moments of comfort and ease. It is revealed in how you choose to act when everything else seems to be collapsing around you. And this ability, this capacity to remain steadfast in the middle of chaos, is not a gift reserved for a select few. It is a direct result of a mindset that you build day by day. This is a mindset that refuses to negotiate with its own excuses. It does not wait for perfect conditions, because it understands they will never arrive. It does not depend on the fleeting feeling of motivation, but operates on the unshakable foundation of commitment. Any man can develop this mindset if he is willing to do the internal work that so many others avoid. It is this internal work, the silent, unseen effort, that separates the man who wishes from the man who achieves. The mind of steel begins with a single, foundational decision: to stop being a slave to your emotions. If you abandon your goals every time you feel tired, frustrated, or insecure, you will never build anything of substance. Your emotions are real, and they are valid signals, but they are not your commanders. They are data, not directives. A man with a weak mind acts according to how he feels in the moment. A man with a mind of steel acts according to what he has decided is important, regardless of his feelings. This single distinction is what separates destinies. While one man remains trapped in repeating cycles of failure, giving in to every whim and doubt, the other builds his life, brick by brick, even with fear as his companion, even with doubt in his heart, even when no one else believes in him. To forge this mentality, you must begin to train yourself daily, not in the great, dramatic moments of life, but in the small, mundane ones. It begins with getting out of bed the moment the alarm sounds, even when every fiber of your being wants to stay under the covers. It continues by finishing the task you started, even after it has become tedious or uncomfortable. It is strengthened by saying no to the easy distraction that weakens you, even when it is the most appealing option. Each one of these small decisions is a brick laid in the fortress of your inner self. Do not wait to feel ready. You will be waiting forever. Start acting like the man you intend to become, because when you discipline yourself to do what you must, regardless of how you feel, you are forging the mind that will carry you to any goal you set. A mind of steel is not born. It is built through habit, through focus, through clear direction, and through relentless repetition. It all starts with that first decision you can make today. Stop surrendering to the small things. If you can conquer your own small hesitations and comforts, you will become invincible in the face of the great challenges. That, right there, is a true beginning of becoming unstoppable. It is a quiet promise you make to yourself, a promise that you will no longer be the primary obstacle in your own path. The vast majority of men want extraordinary results without being willing to endure the weight of silent, consistent effort. They want strength without the pain of resistance. They want confidence without the daily practice of discipline. They want to advance without ever stepping into the discomfort of the unknown. But this very mindset is what keeps them fragile, because the mind is not hardened in moments of comfort. It is forged in the exact moments when everything inside you wants to stop, to give up, to concede. It is in that precise moment of internal friction that a fork in the road appears. In one direction, you can remain the same man you have always been, a creature of habit and comfort. In the other, you can take a single step toward the version of yourself you have always aspired to be. The breaking point is never physical. It is always mental. Your body is capable of far more than you believe. It is your mind that whispers the limits, that begs you to rest, that tells you it's not worth the effort, that now is not the time. If you listen to that voice, you don't just lose a battle of the day. You erode your very identity. Every time you yield to that internal voice of weakness, you are teaching your mind that you cannot be trusted to follow through. You are training yourself to be unreliable to yourself. A mind of steel is not a mind that never doubts. It is a mind that knows precisely what to do when the doubt appears. It is a mind that has been trained through sacrifice, consistency, and persistence to override the impulse to quit. You will not wake up one day with absolute, unshakable confidence. Confidence is the byproduct of evidence. It is built when you do what you said you would do. It is earned when you keep your word to yourself, especially when no one is watching. It is forged when you lift your head on the difficult days and decide to act from your vision of the future, not from the emotion of the moment. Everything of value demands a price, and that price is not just hard work. It is internal discipline, mental order, and emotional direction. This is practiced every single day. Start with what you can control: your schedule, your habits, your words, your thoughts. Every time you say, "I can't do this today," you are weakening yourself. But every time you say, "I'm going to do it anyway," you are strengthening yourself, even if your legs are trembling, even if your motivation is at zero, even if no one is there to support you, even if you feel completely alone. That moment of struggle is a gymnasium of your character. If you endure it, if you push through it without yielding, something inside of you fundamentally changes. Your mind begins to respect you. It realizes that laziness, fear, and doubt are no longer in command. You are. And when you are in command, the direction of your life is no longer left to chance. It acquires purpose and velocity. That clear direction, sustained every single day, transforms you into the kind of man that others admire in silence. The one who doesn't talk much but always moves forward. The one who doesn't complain but always delivers. The one who doesn't show up but quietly transforms. The best part is that this kind of mind does not require perfection. It only requires practice. It requires you to choose over and over again not to fail yourself. Not others, but you. If you become accustomed to disappointing yourself, to justifying your inaction, to lying to yourself, then on the outside you may appear strong, but on the inside you will remain fragile. And when the great test of your life arrives, because it always arrives, you will break. But if day after day you train yourself in the small things, in the silent moments, then when that great test comes, it will not shatter you. It will reveal you. It will show the world the man you have been building in private. A mind of steel is not one that never falls. It is one that never stays down. It is the one that falls and gets back up more focused, more determined, and more conscious of who he is and who he is no longer willing to be. I remember a young man I was mentoring many years ago, a salesman named Michael. He was intelligent, personable, and had a great product, but his results were mediocre. He was on the verge of quitting, convinced he just wasn't cut out for sales. He told me, "Brian, I hate the rejection. Every time someone says no, a voice in my head tells me to just go home, that I'm wasting my time." He was living at that breaking point, and he was choosing to listen to the voice of defeat every single day. I told him, "Michael, your problem isn't the rejection. Your problem is that you think your job is to sell. It's not. Your real job, for the next 30 days, is to face that voice in your head and make one more call after it tells you to quit. Just one. That's your only goal." He was skeptical, but he agreed to try. The first few days were agony. The voice was screaming at him after the third, fourth, fifth call. But he remembered his promise. He would take a deep breath, ignore the feeling, and dial one more number. He didn't make a sale on that one more call for the first week. But something else was happening. He was proving to himself that he was in charge, not the voice of fear. By the second week, the voice was a little quieter. He was still making that extra call, but now it felt less like a battle and more like a routine. By the end of the month, his sales had doubled. He came to me, not excited about the money, but about something else. He said, "Brian, it's not the sales. It's that I know I can do it now. I can feel the fear and still move. I finally trust myself." He had stopped being a victim of his feelings and had become the master of his actions. He was forging his mind of steel, one difficult call at a time. An unstoppable mind is built through the deliberate mastery of your internal dialogue, not by managing the external noise. It's not about the motivation you find in a video or the applause you get from others. It's about what you say to yourself when no one else is listening. It's what you repeat in your own head when everything goes wrong, when you are alone, and when progress seems to have halted completely. It is in that internal space where most men surrender. Not in reality, but in their minds. They tell themselves they can't. They remind themselves of past failures. They convince themselves it's not worth trying again. They fill their heads with logical-sounding arguments to justify their own paralysis. But these are just lies wrapped in the guise of reason. They are lies that your mind repeats because it has not been trained to do otherwise. For years, you may have lived under the programming of doubt, fear, and a pervasive feeling of, "I am not enough." Until you directly confront that voice, you will remain its slave. You must learn to interrupt that debilitating dialogue. You must break that pattern, not with empty, hollow phrases, but with affirmations that are immediately backed by action. It's not enough to tell yourself, "I can." You have to prove it to yourself. You must act, even and especially when your mind is screaming the opposite. Every action you take that contradicts your old, negative narrative is a form of rewriting your own code. It's a new groove being carved into your brain. It's a new identity being formed in real time. If you do this every single day, your mind will begin to change its tone. It will no longer be the voice of the internal saboteur. It will become the voice of the strategist, the warrior, the architect. It will become the voice of the man who knows who he is because he has proven it to himself with undeniable facts, with actions. The control of your internal dialogue is what keeps you in the game when others drop out. It's what sustains you when others give up and make excuses. What separates you from them is not your talent. It is your daily, private conversation. It's what you tell yourself in the days when nothing seems to be moving forward. It's what you think when progress is invisible to the naked eye. It's what you decide when everything in you wants to return to what is familiar and comfortable. Instead of retreating, you breathe, you remind yourself of your purpose, and you advance. Not because it's easy, but because you have decided there is no longer an option to go back. You have already decided who you want to become. And that decision, even if it doesn't solve everything instantly, gives you the power to face each day with the certainty that you don't need to feel ready. You only need to be willing. And being willing is not an emotional state. It is a posture. It is an internal code of conduct. It is a commitment that is not negotiated based on the weather, your level of fatigue, or the circumstances of the day. It is you telling yourself every single day, even if I'm afraid, I will move. Even if I doubt, I will act. Even if I fall, I will get up more focused than before. This is a mindset that makes you unstoppable. You are no longer living according to your mood. You are living according to your vision, and a vision that is sustained, defended, and protected day after day will eventually drag your reality into alignment with it. That is how powerful a determined mind is, a mind that has been trained to lead itself. Because in the end, the greatest leadership you will ever exercise is leadership over your own thoughts. Master that, and everything else becomes inevitable. A mind of steel is not forged in theory. It is constructed in daily practice. And one of the most powerful, yet least popular, practices is maintaining your focus when no one demands it of you. It is easy to be disciplined when there's external pressure, when a deadline is looming, when someone is watching over your shoulder. But your true character is revealed when no one is observing, when there are no immediate consequences, when you could easily slow down, make an excuse, or leave it for tomorrow, and yet you still choose to do it today. This kind of focus, repeated daily, creates a type of strength that isn't visible but is deeply felt. It's an internal energy that sustains you long after motivation has faded, when excuses are readily available, when everything around you seems to invite you to stop. You cannot have an unstoppable mind if you allow yourself to live in a state of constant distraction. Every interruption you accept without question, every minute of your attention you give away without intention, every decision you postpone for the sake of comfort, is training your mind to be scattered. And a scattered mind is a weak mind. That is why one of the most courageous acts you can perform each day is to consciously choose what you will focus on, what you will ignore, and what you will eliminate from your environment. Focus is a filter, and that filter separates a man who merely survives from the man who thrives and advances. This is not about doing more things. It's about doing more of what truly counts, and then defending that priority as if your life depends on it. Because, in a very real sense, it does. Your life is the sum of what you pay attention to. If this message is awakening something inside of you, something that has been dormant or hidden away, then subscribe to this channel right now. Not just to receive more content, but to make a commitment to yourself to stay firm on this path. Every piece of guidance here is designed to strengthen you from the inside out, to remind you that you are not alone in this process. There is a community of individuals, just like you, who have decided to stop living on autopilot and to take command. I want you to write a phrase in the comments below that reaffirms this decision. Write it as if it were a promise to yourself. Write, "I will protect my focus, no matter the cost." That sentence is not for the algorithm. It is for you. It's a declaration that you can look back on tomorrow, next week, or next month to remember who you are and what you are no longer willing to lose to distraction. The world will always try to steal your attention. But if you want to be truly unstoppable, you must make your focus a fortress. This fortress does not open its gates to the noise of the world, to the feeling of tiredness, or to the momentary desire to give in. And that fortress is built today, with every no you say to what pulls you away from your mission, and every yes you give to what propels you forward. It's built in every moment you choose to advance, even when no one is there to applaud you. That silence, that consistency, that invisible firmness, is a mark of the men who leave a legacy, not because of what they shout to the world, but because of what they do when the world is quiet, and they are still walking, firm, focused, and unbreakable. One of the most potent tools a man with an unstoppable mindset can develop is the ability to anticipate his own points of weakness. This is not to use them as an excuse, but to prepare a defense against them. The average man simply reacts to life. He stumbles, he falls, and only then does he try to understand what happened. The man with a mind of steel, in contrast, anticipates. He knows his own patterns. He is familiar with his own frailties. He knows the time of day when his resolve is lowest. He knows which thoughts are most likely to sabotage him. He knows which environments cause him to lose control. And because he knows these things, he does not let them surprise him. He confronts them before they can gather momentum. He deactivates them before they can take hold of his state. A warrior does not enter a battle without a strategy, and your most important battle is not against the world. It is against your old habits, your limiting beliefs, and the past version of yourself that is always trying to pull you back whenever the process becomes difficult. You must come to know your own excuses as if they were named enemies, because that is what they are. They show up every day, disguised as logic, as fatigue, or as a sense of entitlement. I'll just rest a day. This isn't really that important. I've made enough progress for now. I'll do it later. These phrases sound harmless, but they are the very chains that keep you where you are. They are the small leaks in the hull of the ship you are trying to build. If you don't patch them, it doesn't matter how hard you row. Sooner or later, you will sink. This is why you must anticipate them. Write them down. Look at them with unflinching clarity. And then, write down the pre-planned response you will deploy when they appear. You cannot trust your willpower to be there for you when you are tired and depleted. You must have a plan. You must have rules. You must create structures that will support you even when your internal state is weak. This doesn't make you a rigid man. It makes you a conscious man. Self-discipline is not about living in a state of constant tension. It is about living with power, the power to say no to what weakens you, the power to choose your own energy, the power to correct your course before you fail yourself. This is only achieved by the man who knows himself deeply, who is not afraid of his own internal darkness, but rather observes it with honesty and confronts it with strategy. It is not enough to want to change. You must be willing to confront the version of you that keeps you limited. This battle is a daily one. It is not one once and for all. It is one every morning, every afternoon, and every night when you decide to act from a place of conscious choice rather than from unconscious impulse. Start right now. What are the excuses you repeat most often? What situations cause you to give up most easily? What thoughts tend to stop you just when you are about to make progress? Write them down, not to punish yourself, but to prepare yourself. The man who knows himself is the man who can master himself. And the man who masters himself can no longer be defeated by anything external, because he has already conquered the most difficult territory, his own internal system of sabotage. When you do this, you no longer need luck or motivation or external validation. You only need to be present with a clear plan and a firm decision. That decision, which tells your mind, you are no longer in charge. I am, when sustained by daily action, is the foundation of an unbreakable mind. An unstoppable mind does not simply resist pressure, it uses it. It transforms it. It converts it into fuel. This is because it understands profound truth. Every challenge, every obstacle, every uncomfortable situation does not arrive in your life to stop you, but to polish you. The average man flees from effort. He avoids conflict. He seeks a state of constant comfort. But the man with a mind of steel has fundamentally reprogrammed his interpretation of difficulty. He no longer asks, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, he asks, "What is this here to teach me?" He does not see problems as punishments. He sees them as a training ground. He views them as a precise location where his character is molded, where his skills are stretched, and where his true identity is reinforced. This single shift in interpretation is what makes him indestructible. While others collapse under the weight of their circumstances, he grows stronger because of them. You must stop seeing challenges as interruptions on your path. The challenges are the path. They are the tests that separate the man who truly wants to advance from the man who only says he wants to. They are the gateways that only open to courage. If you are facing something difficult right now, something that hurts you, that exhausts you, that fills you with fear, listen to me closely. That is the exact place where you have the opportunity to transform. Not when everything is calm, not when everything is going as you planned, but right now, here, in the midst of this difficult moment. It is when the muscle trembles that it is growing. It is when the mind wants to surrender that it is being trained. It is when every part of you wants to retreat, but you force yourself to take one more step, that you are embodying the essence of being unstoppable. You must do this every day. Choose to carry the weight that strengthens you instead of the weight that crushes you. The experience of pain is unavoidable in life, but you can choose its source. You can choose the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. You can choose the pain of growth or the pain of stagnation. The difference between these two pains is monumental. One breaks you down, while the other builds you up. One confines you to a life that doesn't feel like your own, while the other liberates you into a life that is a true representation of your potential. Every day that you face what is difficult with the right attitude, your mind becomes stronger. And the best part is that this power is cumulative. What costs you immense effort today will feel normal tomorrow. What demands all your energy this week will become part of your nature next month. The pain you consciously move through does not weaken you. It transforms you into a man who is deeper, more solid, and more authentic. So, the next time you feel a great weight on your shoulders, do not reject it. Carry it, breathe through it, learn from it, and then keep moving forward. Not as a victim who is merely surviving, but as a warrior who is constantly rebuilding himself. You are not here to complain about your burdens. You are here to become so strong, so focused, and so firm that the burdens themselves become your tools. The world will not be able to stop you, not because the world changes, but because you have made the most difficult choice of all, to grow when it was easy to escape, to advance when it was more comfortable to stay put, and to overcome your own limitations when no one else was demanding it of you. This is the mind of steel. It is not the mind that waits for conditions to become favorable. It is the mind that adapts to any condition and never, ever stops advancing. I once worked with a remarkable entrepreneur, a woman named Sarah, who had built a successful retail business from the ground up. Then, a sudden shift in the market, a new technology, made her entire business model nearly obsolete overnight. She lost almost everything. Her employees were panicking, her investors were pulling out, and her competitors were circling. She told me she felt like the world was collapsing on her. The pressure was immense. Most people in her position would have declared bankruptcy, blamed the market, and walked away defeated. But Sarah, after a few days of allowing herself to feel the shock, did something different. She gathered her remaining team and said, "The old way is gone. Crying about it won't bring it back. This pressure isn't a death sentence. It's a message. It's telling us we have to evolve right now. She began to see the pressure not as a force meant to crush her, but as a force meant to reshape her. She used the crisis to completely reinvent her company. She embraced the very technology that had threatened to destroy her and built a new, leaner, more innovative business around it. It was incredibly difficult. There were many sleepless nights and moments of intense doubt, but she kept telling herself, this pressure is forging us into something stronger. A year later, her new company was more profitable and more resilient than her old one had ever been. She didn't just survive the pressure, she harnessed it. She proved that the obstacle is away. A mind of steel also knows how to remain focused on what it can control. This is one of the greatest sources of strength you can ever develop, the ability to clearly distinguish between what is within your power and what is not. The weak man exhausts his energy on the external. He complains about the traffic, the weather, the decisions of others, the past, the political system, all the things he cannot modify. He invests his precious mental and emotional energy in things that are beyond his influence, and then wonders why he feels so tired, so frustrated, and so utterly defeated. The man with an unstoppable mentality knows something that others forget. His power begins where his responsibility lies. His power is in his actions, his thoughts, his responses, his decisions. And every single day, he consciously chooses to invest his mental strength only in that domain. You must understand that your attention is your most valuable and finite resource. You cannot afford to give it away to everything that annoys you, offends you, or disappoints you. If you do, there will be nothing left to build with, nothing left to advance with, nothing left to grow with. Every time you focus your mind on something outside of your control, you weaken yourself. But every time you bring your focus back to what you can do, no matter how small that action may seem, you strengthen yourself. This is why truly unbeatable men do not waste time fighting with reality. They accept it, they adapt to it, and then they get to work on their part of it. Their focus is not about ignoring the problem. It is about directing their energy to the point where they still have the power of choice. Did you have a bad day? Focus on how you are going to end it. Did you receive harsh criticism? Focus on what, if anything, you can learn from it. Did things not go as you planned? Focus on how you will respond now. This attitude is what separates you from the average. Everyone can move forward when the wind is at their back, but very few know how to hold their ground and keep moving when the world seems disordered and chaotic. And those few are not special. They are simply conscious. They have learned to tell themselves, I cannot control everything, but I can control my focus, and that is enough. Practice this every single day. Before you react, pause, breathe. Ask yourself a simple question. Is this within my control? If the answer is no, you must practice letting it go. If the answer is yes, then you must act. Not with rage, not with impulse, but with strategy, with a cool mind and a hot will, with a clear understanding that you are not here to be a leaf in the wind. You are here to be a root, a rock, the firm point in the midst of motion. This kind of presence is cultivated when you stop fighting against the world and start directing your energy toward the part of that world you can still build. Remember, you do not need to control everything to change your life. You only need to control yourself, and to do so every day with firmness, with direction, and with discipline. The man who invests his mind in what he cannot change will drown in his own frustration. But the man who invests his mind in what he can influence becomes the architect of his own reality. And that reality, sooner or later, will reflect his focus. So, decide today, will you live as a spectator of what you cannot manage, or as a protagonist of what you can? The answer to that question will make all the difference. An unstoppable mind is also fortified by the power of purpose. Without a clear and compelling purpose, even the most disciplined effort becomes empty and hollow. You can have a perfect routine, solid habits, and a clear schedule, but if you do not know why you are doing what you are doing, your internal fire will eventually burn out. Discipline without direction will not sustain you. It will only weigh you down. It will turn you into an efficient machine, but one without a soul. And you did not come into this world merely to function. You came to build something that has meaning, to leave a mark, to turn your very existence into a statement of what is possible when a man lives in alignment with a cause greater than himself. This purpose does not have to be a grandiose, world-changing mission. It doesn't have to be written on a monument or come to you in a flash of divine epiphany. More often than not, your most powerful purpose is sitting right in front of you. It is in the family you want to protect and provide for. It is in the example you want to set for your children. It is in the unfulfilled version of yourself that you have always known you could become. Your purpose is the emotional root of your effort. It is what drives you forward when there are no logical reasons left. It is what picks you up after you have fallen for the 5th or the 10th or the 100th time. It is what connects you to your why when the how becomes confusing and difficult. If you do not cultivate it every day, if you do not remind yourself of it, if you do not keep it present in your heart and in your mind, then even the best habits will become mechanical and eventually they will be abandoned. Do this every single morning. Dedicate just 5 minutes to reconnecting with your purpose. Write it down. Read it aloud. Feel why all of this effort is worthwhile. Ask yourself, what kind of life do I truly want to live? What legacy do I want to leave behind? What kind of man do I want the world to remember when I am no longer here? You don't need to have all the answers. You just need one answer that moves you, one reason that forces you to get up when your body wants to stay down. When you have a powerful reason, you will always find a way. And when the reason is strong enough, the fear becomes weak. The man who acts from purpose no longer negotiates with his doubt. He no longer plays at half measure. He no longer lives his life by default. He lives with decision. He lives with fire. He lives with a North Star that pulls him forward even when his legs are failing. Purpose does not eliminate the pain. It gives the pain meaning. It does not erase the difficulty. It gives the difficulty direction. It is the anchor that keeps you firm when everything else is shaking. If you reinforce it every day, if you remember it every day, if you honor it with your actions every day, then your mind will have no choice but to become a rock, a foundation, an engine. It will know that you are not doing all this just for some external goal. You are doing it for something that burns deep inside of you. And that kind of fire is not extinguished by the rain. It is intensified by every storm. So today, before you end your day, write it down. My purpose is greater than my fatigue. Repeat it tomorrow, and the day after that, and every single time you feel the urge to quit. Because if your purpose is alive, you will remain standing, firm, focused, and unstoppable. A mind of steel is defined not only by what it does, but also by what it refuses to repeat. A man who does not learn from his past is condemned to relive it over and over again, disguised as new excuses, new scenarios, and new names. If you truly want to be unstoppable, you must have the courage to look at yourself with brutal honesty. You must review your own history, not to lament it, but to understand it, to chart a new course, and to say with absolute firmness, this pattern of failure ends with me. This is not just about moving forward. It is also about leaving behind what can no longer accompany you on your journey. This means letting go of versions of yourself that may have been necessary for survival at one time, but are now holding you back. It means abandoning habits, beliefs, and reactive patterns that once protected you but are now imprisoning you. You have to make self-analysis a daily, non-negotiable practice. You must observe your own patterns under a microscope. You must ask yourself without fear, what am I repeating that is keeping me stuck? What part of me refuses to grow because it still finds comfort in what is known? Growth doesn't just hurt because of the new things it demands of you. It also hurts because of the old things it forces you to leave behind. If you are not willing to say goodbye to those old comfort zones, even if they have been part of your identity for years, then you will never know your true potential. You cannot build a new life using the same mental blueprint that kept you limited. A truly strong mind is one that does not fear the truth about itself. It does not need to appear perfect or to always be right. It is a mind that can say, I was wrong here. I betrayed my own standards there. I fell into the same trap again here. And instead of hiding behind guilt or shame, it rises with more awareness, more clarity, and a deeper commitment. Every unexamined mistake is a wound that bleeds in silence. But every mistake that is confronted with humility becomes wisdom. And that wisdom, when used every day, when applied with consistency, will elevate you to levels you once could only imagine. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be awake. You need to be so present in your own life that you no longer live by repeating a script that others wrote for you. You need to observe yourself each day and say, Today, I will not do the same thing I did yesterday. Today, I will respond differently. Today, I will act from consciousness, not from a pre-programmed pattern. This is true freedom. It is not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom to do what you know you must, even when it is hard. The comfortable path is often just a familiar path, but what is familiar is not always what is right. A man who wants to advance must stop living by impulse and start living by decision. So, before you close your eyes tonight, ask yourself one final question. What am I still holding on to that I should have let go of long ago? Write it down. Decide. Let it go. Not as an emotional act, but as an act of profound maturity. Your new life does not begin when you achieve something on the outside. It begins the moment you stop repeating what keeps you small on the inside. If you can do that today, if you can let go, even if it hurts, even if it's difficult, even if you don't have all the answers, then your mind will have been truly strengthened. You will have proven that you are not chained to your past. You are committed to your future. And that commitment, reaffirmed every single day, is what makes a man truly free. And a free man has no limits. And in the end, after all the strategies and all the techniques, what truly makes you unstoppable is not what you achieve, nor what you show the world, nor what others see in you. It is a relationship you build with yourself in the deepest, most private chambers of your own being. It is a man you decide to be in secret, when no one is applauding, when there are no visible rewards, when the fatigue is heavy, the world is silent, and all that is left is your own breath and your own decision. That is the final test. Who are you when you have nothing left to prove, but everything to uphold? Who are you when you could easily slack off, but you choose to hold the line? Who are you when no one is making demands of you, but you respond as if your entire life depends on it? A mind of steel is not the result of one great, heroic moment. It is a cumulative result of thousands of small, private moments in which you chose not to fail yourself, where you kept your own word, where you did not betray your own vision, where you resisted the overwhelming temptation to turn back, to give up, to hide, to be silent, to stop. You resisted because you knew you were building something that cannot be seen but can be profoundly felt. You were building character. You were growing roots. You were erecting an internal structure so strong that not even the harshest failure, the most painful loss, or the longest storm could ever destroy it. And that is what separates you. Not your results, not your titles, not your history. It is your presence, your internal force, your quiet, unshakable certainty that no matter what happens, you will not break. You may bend, yes, but you will not break. You have already chosen yourself too many times to ever abandon yourself again. You have already understood that you do not need the world's approval when you have the approval of your own conscience. You have already looked in the mirror enough times to know that you will no longer tolerate a lukewarm, compromised version of the man you know you can be. That, right there, is what it means to be unstoppable. Not because everything goes right for you, but because when everything goes wrong, you keep going. And you don't just keep going. You improve, you learn, you realign, you sharpen your focus, you reconnect with your purpose, and you come back stronger, more focused, and more firm than before. You become a man who is no longer searching for motivation because he is already in motion. He is at war with his own limitations, and yet he is at peace because he has found a source of strength within himself that does not depend on anything or anyone. And that source is activated every day when you choose to continue, when you refuse to negotiate with your old self, when you stop looking for excuses and start forging your own path. Remember this, one day, all of it will make sense. The falls, the doubts, the silences, the days when no one believed in you, not even yourself. One day, you will look back and you will realize that it was not luck, nor talent, nor opportunity that got you here. It was your daily decision. It was your invisible discipline. It was your unwavering firmness in the moments when giving up seemed like the only logical thing to do. On that day, the world may look at you and call you unstoppable. But you will know the truth. You were simply the man who kept building his strength on the days when only he believed it was worth continuing. This is not something that can be taught. It is something that is chosen, that is trained, that is lived, and you are already doing it. If this message has given you the clarity and strength to continue on your path, then do 3 things to solidify your commitment. First, Like this video to signal to yourself that this is a message you stand behind. Second, subscribe to this channel to remain in an environment of strength and purpose. And third, share this with one other man who you know is fighting his own battles and need to hear that he has the power to forge his own mind of steel. Finally, leave a comment below with the words, "I am the architect." Make it a declaration. Keep pushing forward. Your greatest days are not in your past. They are waiting for you to create them.